Kia ora whānau, o Aotearoa nau mai haramai, ki te wiki o te reo Māori. This is Kari Lloyd. We are here with her today. She is our Hutt City Council candidate, and we're going to have a little chat with her about, what's made her decide to run for council and how she plans on tackling a few issues and things. But Kari, I was just wondering, just to start off with, if you could give us a little bit of your history, a bit of your background. Where did you come from? Where were you raised?
Well, kia ora, and welcome everybody who's here to listen and to get to know a little bit more about me. Where I was raised right here. I'm in the Hutt now. I'm in Hutt. In fact, I'm around the corner from where many of my whānau have been buried. I'm in Rada Street. It's a place of centre for me. It's where my spirit feels at home. So
Nice.
I've lived here for most of my life. I went away for 16 years with my late partner. I lived over in Porirua in Whitby. And after he passed in a motorcycle accident, I eventually came home because this is where I needed to be. This is where my wairua is refills. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's beautiful. And so you grew up in the Hutt, is that right?
Yeah, I'm Nino out and out. I mean, totally. Nino primary, Nino intermediate, Nino college. You can't get more than that.
So you must have a lot of friends in the community there.
Well, there's less of them here now because, of course, we've all grown up and quite a few have actually gone overseas or gone around the country. But it's amazing because since I announced that I was standing for Hutt City Council, people have been coming out of the woodwork and going, yes, we need somebody who's real in council. We need somebody who can get shit done. So it's like, okay, so people who've known me for years or know my family have actually said, no, it's a good thing. It's a really good thing that you're actually standing. So I feel quite empowered, scared, but empowered.
So what's your history and education? Did you study anything in particular?
Yeah, life. I left school when I was 16. I'd had an accident just before I sat School C because that was back in the days where there was School C, UE, and then seventh form. And unfortunately, the accident meant that I couldn't sit any exams. So I didn't get my, I got an aggregat, which means an assessment rather than sitting exams. I'd ripped my hand open and couldn't write because every time I wrote, my hand would reopen. So it would bleed everywhere.
That doesn't sound great.
It meant I didn't have to sit shorthand typing, which I was assured to fail. And I didn't fail because I had the aggregate.
Well done.
It took so long to come through that I actually had a permanent job by the time my results were through. And I started working in the bank. So I worked for a couple of years at Westpac and just followed my nose through jobs in Wellington or out of Wellington. I went back to school when I was 20 and I did my sixth form cert. It just helped to recenter me because I've been through quite a hard time of working. So I did that. I got just recentered and I started working again. I've worked in many parts of the community. So I've done not only corporate jobs and, jobs where I'm a project manager. I also have done work for non-profit organisations and setting up, working in that environment as well. I've worked for local councils. I worked at Wellington City Council as a project manager in their IT team. And I even went back and did a little bit of work in their infrastructure team. So I helped to dig up Cuba Street.
Oh, wow. Well, that's something to be proud of. So it sounds like you've had a little bit of experience in the past with the council. Is that right?
Yes, I have. That's with the Wellington City. And I've actually worked at Kapiti Coast Council as well for a few projects. They contracted me in to do IT projects there. I also Standards. I worked at Standards New Zealand for 7 years and then set up the Health Information Standards Organisation, which operates out of the Ministry of Health, and that's about interoperability of health information. So it's about how they share information, like first name, last name, your first line of address, your second line of address, it's quite a structured way of doing things. But once you get those standards agreed, you can actually share the common information easily. So that was quite a fun sort of little diversion for me.
Awesome. And could you tell us a little about some of your personal passions or hobbies or interests?
Oh, I love motorcycling. I got my license when I was 33. You know, I didn't even get my car license until I was 23. Got my motorcycle license 10 years later, but I didn't tell my parents until after I bought my first motorbike, and I had because my sister, about 12 years earlier, it would have been 13 years earlier, had a motorcycle accident and lost her partner, and almost lost her leg. So I knew that my parents were a bit wary of motorcycles, but it was something I enjoyed doing with my late partner. We never had Facebook. We'd just go riding. Every weekend we'd get on our bikes and go somewhere. Unfortunately, I lost him back in 2008. He had a motorcycling accident. So that just, it happens. It's a risk of what we do. But then I also see stepping out in the street as a risk of what we do, because there are many people who step out on the street and all of a sudden they're gone.
That's right. So, you never know when your time's up.
Exactly. So his time was up. Unfortunately, there was a problem with how he was not found by the ambulance. So what I did after his death, they contacted me and let me know who knew where he died. And they said the ambulance was sent to from the wrong place. So I got a hold of the communication centre through one of my old bosses who had involvement with ambulances, and we got them to do an investigation, and we took that into the coroner's court. What happened is they had 14 recommendations of how they could correct what had gone wrong, and the coroner said, you have to do all 14 plus this extra one. So through late partner's death, we actually got stuff done so that if I have an accident, they'll find me.
That's really good to know. It's really good to know. And it's dangerous out on those roads, especially with all those blooming potholes these days. Like, it's crazy.
How are we meant to ride around safely? I guess part of the other side is that I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis at 25, which made me even more determined. So when people say, oh, you can't have a motorcycle license if you've got MS, I say, did I have to tell them?
So MS sounds like a little bit of a struggle. How do you manage that?
Really good drugs. Shh, don't tell anyone. No, they're all legal.
Secret's safe with me, mate. I won't put it on a live stream or anything.
No. I went for many years without any help, just managing on my own. The first 3 years, I actually ended up in hospital having a lot of steroid treatments. And you know what happens when you have steroids? It leaches the calcium from your bones and your teeth, and everything starts, you might get moon face, and it was horrible. So I decided that, no, I didn't want to do that anymore, and I just suck it. And I managed to suck it until 8 years ago when I lost all sensation down one side of my body. I ended up back with the neurologist, and he said, you now qualify for drug therapy. So I'm on a immune modulator. I'm not on an immune suppressant, which is fantastic. I think immune suppressants is definitely not where I want to be, and I'm really lucky I'm on. But I do have a lot of painkillers because I have neuropathic pain. So I manage through persistence. I did a half Ironman. I've got to manage. I might have been slow, but I finished it.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm not sure if you can hear in the background here, but it's just started hissing down with rain. Hopefully that's being drowned out. But anyway, beautiful weather. Could you tell me a little bit about some of the issues that you've noticed your local council is facing at the moment, and how you plan on addressing these issues?
Yeah, I've been uncovering things slowly. I was asked by a friend of mine to run for council. He said 12 hours before the nominations closed. So we got everything done. We got my nomination in. We got 2 nominators. I have to run citywide because they weren't in the same electorate as me. So that's what we're doing, is I'm running citywide. Now, in Hutt, they have wards and then they have citywide. So there's 6 councillors citywide and there's 6 councillors in wards. What I have noticed is that there's been a lot of talk about consultation and stuff, but there's been very little actual consultation with our constituents out here. And it's a big challenge.
I've just seen a comment here from Phil, also known as Portaloo Phil. He's just asked, has Kari seen the video of what happened at the Meet the Candidates meeting in Christchurch? I haven't personally seen this, but he asked, if so, what did she think of the moderator asking the vaccinated candidates to stand? Wow.
I heard about that. And you know what? That there is, number one, horrific. It's nobody's business what your medical situation is. If you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, whose business is it? It's mine and my doctor's.
It's crazy. I can't. This is the first I'm hearing of this. This is unbelievable. I can't believe that.
I have so many vaccinations, it's not funny. But when it came down to it, for the vaccination they're offering us now, I actually went to MedSafe site to check out that it had actually been tested properly so that I would not get knocked off my current drugs, and it wasn't. So I didn't take that vaccination because to me it was unsafe.
And besides the point, it's your personal choice. It's everyone's personal choice, and I don't know why it needs to be publicised at all. It's a bit personal, isn't it? Next thing they'll be asking for you to list all the current medications you were taking, so we can judge you on those as well. No, jokes. Please don't.
A whole bag I take to my different house sits of the different drugs that I take. So.
Yeah. I'm seeing a comment here from Kimberly. Kimberly is asking, I wonder if Kari is aware of the houses slipping off the cliff in Stokes Valley. I've seen other councillors aren't aware.
Yeah. I was in Stokes Valley when that happened. In fact, it took me 2.5 hours to get out of Stokes Valley that first day. Luckily, it only took an hour and a half if I went in off-peak traffic. It was horrific. There are real problems here with both Stokes Valley and Wainuiomata. Wainuiomata Hill had a big slip, Stokes Valley had a slip, and Haywards Hill had a slip, all major slips. The council should be fully aware of it, and I believe they are, and they're actually investigating how they can get things fixed. Unfortunately for Lower Hutt, for the Stokes Valley residents, it has to go to EQC.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of the damage is actually under them. So there's a whole pile of stuff that has to happen in order for the council to do anything.
Is that one of the things that might be a priority for you to address, or are there other things that you've got that you really want to address sooner rather than later?
There's actually more things that need straight out addressing first.
What are some of those things?
The lack of consultation with our constituents. What I understand and what I've seen in the papers that I've received from Council for Candidates is that the council believes that we're there to serve them to the people. It's actually the other way around. If I'm elected, I am to serve the people and tell the council what they're to do.
Yeah, that's right. Don't get it twisted, hey?
They're to govern the assets for our constituents, not the other way around. The council staff are hired to help the council. They're not hired to dictate to the councillors.
That's right. That's right. And what are your thoughts? There's been a lot of controversy with the mainstream media recently, as I'm sure you are very aware. What are your thoughts on these? What are your thoughts on these lovely pieces that have been coming out recently of our local candidates going for council?
I was amazed to see that they used a single sentence about me going to the parliamentary protest. They said that Kari said it was a privilege to go to the protest. They're right. It was a total privilege. Every time I go to a protest that ends up on the lawns of Parliament, it's a privilege. When I led 6,000 motorcyclists and I spoke to them about the ACSD protests in 2009, total privilege. When I did the Herceptin funding ride, which made awareness about Herceptin, which is a drug used for breast cancer and wasn't funded, it was a privilege. And it was a privilege in the protest this year to help take water and food in to help people, and also to stand there and listen to people's stories, because guess what? So many people were affected and nobody came down and listened. Every other protest that I've attended, people have come down from the ivory tower and actually spoken to us. This is the time they did it. And that is a problem. It could have been
bottom line, absolute privilege to have been there.
It was a total privilege to actually speak to people who were there, speak to the people who were suffering, because they were suffering, because they were unfairly mandated out of their jobs. This government, yes, they protected our health as best they could. They could have actually listened to the people who could have protected our health better.
We will always have that question lingering on the back of our necks, won't we? Why did they not? Anyway, not the topic of conversation right now. Let's get back to you. And I'm wondering what sort of, skills and things can you bring to the council personally, do you think?
Personally, I'm used to working with committees. I'm used to helping people to assess the information that we receive from public consultations. At Standards New Zealand, when you want to do a standard, you actually send it out to the public and say, give us your feedback, and then you read through every single lot of feedback as a group and decide, right, this is actually an issue, we need to alter the words, or this is something that needs to happen. So I'm used to working in that kind of environment. I'm moderate. I'm not left nor right. I don't understand left and right, because I don't believe that party politics has a game to play in local politics. Parties need to get their butts out of local politics and stay where they should be in central government. And they should receive the information from us, not the other way around. Yeah. So what at the moment is that Three Waters has been dictated by government down to councils. 61 councils said, no, we don't want this. And government has decided, oh, but we do.
So 61 councils voted against it. How many councils are there? Like, what percentage of all the councils was that?
68 councils.
There's 68 and 61 voted no.
Yep.
That's a bit...
But one of the ones that hasn't voted no is Lower Hutt, because they seem to be having a issue with having a mayor who is a Labour Party candidate.
Oh, okay.
I know. He says that he doesn't have to do what the party says, but one of the contracts he signs with the Labour Party is apparently says that he actually has to toe the party line. I don't know who to believe. Do I believe somebody who's a mayor who's saying, I'm honest, I graft, I'm honest, who doesn't appear to have worked in a real job? Or do I go to people like Tony Salinger, who's running for mayor, and listen to what he, as an ex-CEO of the council, says, who says, 1 minute, there's a problem with the finances in the long-term plan. So I'm tossing up on who I'm listening to here, but when I hear people coming down and saying, no, you don't have to do what the Labour Party says as a Labour council leader, he must receive a lot of money from somewhere for the campaign he's running.
So how is your campaign going, Kari? What have you been up to?
We've got pamphlets. I'm actually running with a few other people. Now, we're all independent candidates, but what's happened is we can't afford to run independently. We can't afford to print pamphlets for each of us or print billboards for each of us. So we're doing them together. So we've got some big hoarding signs up. We've got pamphlets printed, and we've got those getting out there. But also, I'm spending time at the markets in Hutt, and morning I'm there and meeting people and talking to them, and just being available to hear what they need to have done. It's important that we actually stand up and listen to what they want to have done. They can ask me what I believe, and they can vote on that, or they can say, I believe this is what needs to happen, and then I can assure them that I will actually take that with me to the council, which is what I'd be paid to do.
And have you had many Meet the Candidate events? I just wanted to pop in there. I'm here in the Gisborne region, and a few days ago there was a Meet the Candidates event just outside of Gisborne, about an hour out of Gisborne, in a small place called Tolaga Bay. And unfortunately, what happened is the candidates outnumbered the people who were attending, and it basically just turned into a big free-for-all.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I've been to a couple of Meet the Candidates events, and then today I had a cancellation of an event I was meant to go to with Grey Power, because they decided that because of the smear campaign, which was run by staff, I wasn't allowed to address their people or their concerns, which is fine.
Wow.
Some people listen, read stuff and believe what they read. If they'd actually read anything about me, they could have Googled my name on stuff. There were 4 articles there about me after my partner died, about how we actually worked on getting things better. And then they could have learnt that my job is to actually make things better.
Yes. No, well, mainstream media certainly has a lot to answer for. Do you plan on attending the march against mainstream media? I believe is it tomorrow?
It's
Monday.
Tomorrow. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to be down at the market.
Oh, of course, yes.
So I
understandable.
spoke to Freedom Alliance, who are running it here. They do have a group of people who are going to be meeting in at Wellington and going around to the Stuff site and also to Radio New Zealand House. I think they're meeting about 10 in Wellington at the station. Then they'll walk from there. Yes, I support them, but unfortunately, because I need to actually be campaigning with the Lower Hutt people, I need to be here in Lower Hutt.
Phil has just mentioned here, it's actually tomorrow at 11 a.m. for those at home who want to know. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. in front of the Wellington railway station. So just putting that out there. Hey, Kari, do you have any upcoming Meet the Candidate events?
Yes, I know that we've got a number. They're all up here. Okay, so there's Team 9 I Trust, which would be awesome, and that's on the 22nd of September. Moana Community on the 24th of September, we're coming to them. Jackson Street program on the 27th of September.
Busy.
It's busy, and it's in the ballot as well, which I'm down to attend if I can on the, I think it's the 19th.
Well, if you could possibly, after we finish here, if you could jump into the comments section and just put the details of your next Meet the Candidate events, just so anyone who's interested can pop along to those, that would be really good. What else was I going to ask? I think that's about it from me today. Was there anything else you wanted to chat about?
There's really good things that are happening. I know that there's a lot of things which this council has to address. The first thing is, if we're able to get rid of party politics, then we can address things like the 3 waters and the building intensification, which will affect our living down here in Lower Hutt. What will happen and how we do it and how we implement the stuff which has been foisted on us from government.
Yeah.
So for me is the big issue that we have to address, and I know that, yes.
Uh-huh. Good stuff. So it sounds like you've got a heap on your plate right now, lots of stuff to manage through. Well done. I mean, really, really well done for standing for council. I know that decision can't have been easy, but if anyone can do it, I'm glad that you are running. Kari, I've known you for a while now, and I think you're an amazing person. So good luck.
Thank you, Seb, and thank you for this opportunity. I know it's really hard because there's so much out there against us, but guess what? We're actually going to fight and make sure that our voices are heard, and that's really important. And everybody out there should be getting off their butts and making sure that they vote for the local council candidates. There are a lot of us out there, and we're not what they call extremists. We're people who actually want to see the right things done for once.
Absolutely, 100% agree. So thank you so much, Kari, for making the time to have a chat with me today. I really appreciate it. And I'm really looking forward to hearing the outcome of this these elections. It's going to be a very interesting one.
It's going to be an interesting one. Thank you so much, Seb, for taking the time to meet with me.
Poor Marie. Have a good night.
Night.
All right, guys, so that was Kari Lloyd, who is running for Hutt City Council down in Wellington. And just putting it out there, if you know anybody else who is running for council at present and would like a little bit of media attention on my platforms, please ask them to get in touch with me. I would be more than happy to do the same for them. Just tag them in the comments section below and just ask them to get in touch with me, and that would be great. Hey, so thank you, whānau. Have a great rest of your night. Have a great weekend, and we're going to be back. We're definitely going to be interviewing a man called Daniel, who is running for council down in Wellington as well. We will be interviewing him probably early next week. Tanya, thank you for your comment there. Councillor Sam Walmsley, we actually have already done an interview with Sam, and he is an amazing guy. So that was really cool. So thanks, guys. Have a good night. Ka kite anō.